Hey, it's Victor Sosa of High Def Life Coaching. I was doing some work for my radio job the other day. I'm still on the air at a station in New York City, and for my DJ job, I surf the net a lot, looking for interesting topics to discuss in between the songs. And I came across a story that absolutely fascinated me with regards to Christina Aguilera. And the kind of thoughts that it gave me afterwards are the basis of what I want to share with you today. You see, the story talks about Christina in her younger days, when she first came out as a teenager and was a superstar worldwide almost out of the box. Executives at her record label were putting a lot of pressure on her to remain thin. And she talked about how they'd flip out on her anytime she gained a couple of pounds. She said someone actually told her at her record label that no one would buy her music or come to her shows if she was heavy. And because of that, her weight actually jeopardized the livelihood of hundreds of people who depended on her success. When you think about how young she was when her career took off, you can imagine that as a kid, she took them at their word. And the stress of that situation must have been incredible. But things change. More mature Christina these days, and she said something at the end of that article that literally had me cheering at my computer. She said she told the executives who were fretting about her size, yes, even just a few short months ago, while she was working on her new CD, to get over it. She said, well, I want to read the quote directly. Excuse me while I reach for I wrote it down because I want to read this exactly as she said it. She said, "They need a reminder sometimes that I don't belong to them. It's my body." Now, I've never met Christina Aguilera, but I'm not sure I've ever been prouder of anyone than I was when I read that. You remember, just a minute ago, I was telling you about how people were telling Christina, as a teenager, jobs were on the line if she couldn't keep herself in a size 2 or something like that. The pressure, the worries, the kind of assumptions or interpretations, the voice in your head that we all have, that always crops up at the most inopportune moments, only to tell us that who we are isn't good enough. Can you imagine all those things that must have been bouncing around in her head for the better part of the last 15 years? Actually, you probably can, right? Maybe it's about your size, maybe it isn't. But at one time or another, we all have assumptions, interpretations, and that dreaded critic within who tells us who we are isn't good enough. But Christina, she looked all those things in the eye, and she realized the truth, that none of them are true. She is good enough, just the way she is. You are good enough, just the way you are. Thing is, though, you got to believe it. And you got to own it in order for it to take effect and for great things to start happening in your life. It looks like these days, Christina Aguilera really owns it. But my question for you today isn't about Christina. It's about you. Who do you believe? Do you believe the inner critic that tells you you're not good enough? Or do you believe in the real truth? That you're not only good enough, you're more than enough.